growmybag.com, actually .tv. Hope all is well with you and yours. What's good, what's good, what's good? Sadly, nothing about the markets was good. Nothing. Not a gosh darn thing. We woke up this morning. We knew it, all had already known the markets were going to take a dive. Didn't realize they were going to take this much of a dive. Kind of thought they would, actually. I mean, it was kind of obvious. It was kind of written there for us, except that it's not something that anybody wanted. It's absolutely not something that anybody wanted. And again, it's self-inflicted wounds. These are self-inflicted wounds. Anyway, tonight's question. What crypto wallet company is currently dealing with a third-party breach? MetaMask, Solflare, Lace, or other? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Now, a lot of news happened. None of it was as important as what's going on in Davos right now. None of it is as important as the hit on the economy, the hit on all the stocks. We've got European nations that are looking at an impending recession. So if there's a recession there, how long do you think it'll be before there's a recession here? Right? I mean, I'm not crazy. That's how that works. That really is how that works. So at some point, even if it's a lesser recession, which I don't think this one is going to be, I think this could be a whopper of a recession. And why do I say it's going to be a whopper? We have a lot of things that are pointing to, on a global level, a lot of things that are pointing to, yeah, jobs aren't doing so well. So that's something. We have all kinds of just global issues going on. We have the United States moving into a corner all by itself. We've got our former friends and allies moving into an opposing corner. We have Russia and China off to the side, getting their giggle on. What's going on, Rick Ritchie? Thank you for letting us know you invested in yourself. Good guess. It'll be interesting. There's just a lot of stuff going on. Stock futures had plummeted this morning. We knew it was coming. We saw stock futures take a dive yesterday. Like, we knew yesterday it was diving. Sean in his house, my favorite bookkeeper, what's up? So, and have you invested in yourself today, young man? So there's a lot to unpack just on a global scale. From an investing perspective, I mean, Netflix hit it out the park. Netflix crushed it, actually. They changed their deal for Warner Brothers to an all-cash deal. That's going to put the current regime in a precarious situation. Why? Because he wanted the Ellisons. He wanted the Ellisons to get it. He absolutely wanted the Ellisons to get Warner Brothers. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It does not look like that's going to happen. And I want you to think about this. So CNN is not, they don't want to go over there. That's not something they want to do. So I'm wondering, thanks, Lieutenant. Thank you for letting us know you invest in yourself. So I'm wondering if there is an opportunity for the company to be split up, even though they don't really want to split up the company. Netflix is making moves, trying to send signals that, hey, we're going to try to do things right. We're not going to necessarily change things, change how things operate within the Warner Brothers ecosystem. I don't know about that. I've been doing a little bit of research on this movie Rip, or The Rip. I think it's The Rip, with Matt Damon and a few other people. And I was just like, somebody did an analysis about how many times they said the name of the movie as if nobody was smart enough to keep up, meaning the movie wasn't made for people that think about things, it was down here. So who the heck knows what that is? Nobody knows what that is. What do you mean global E? What does that mean? Whole sentences that let people know what you're talking about. Let people know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. Might mean something to somebody else. Maybe it's a code. I don't know. No, you can't guess twice. Can't guess twice. Pick one. Too late. It's your first one. We're going to stick with that one. Where's patient one? Need her to do me a favor. So I'm just looking at investing from a holistic perspective, from a whole view perspective. We had a lot of things go on, but right now we saw the markets take it on the chin hard. I was going to be evil and I was going to ask people, like, why do they think the markets went down today? And then I was like, wow, if I saw a question like that, how would I answer? Even with the choices, how would I answer? And I was like, yeah, nah, that'd be kind of rude. That's not the right question. You keep posting single words and it doesn't mean anything. Whole sentences, please, because that means nothing to nobody. ARK Invest CEO Kathy Wood predicted a golden age for U.S. stocks in 2026. Do I think that could happen? Somebody else had said something not similar, but they had said it was going to be a good year, but it's going to be a tumultuous year. But do I think it's going to be a golden age for stocks? No. I do not think it's going to be a golden age for stocks. So I just found her statement to be interesting. She forecasted a 6 to 8% annual GDP growth. She predicted 35% returns for ARK-K, which I guess, and she's betting on Tesla, AI, and biotechnology. Biotechnology I can understand. AI, it depends on what you're investing in. With regard to AI, it's a very you can go hardware, you can go platforms, you can go solutions. There are a lot of things that you can do in that AI space. So I'd be curious to see how she follows through in the coming months with regard to AI. Tesla, on the other hand, I think Tesla's gonna tank. I think Tesla is going to take it on the chin. And why is that? Competition. Competition is a painful thing for Tesla. One of the other issues that I think all car manufacturers are going to be dealing with are self-driving vehicles. Who's buying? If you listen to Jeff Bezos, the future of the world is you're not going to own anything. Like, his perspective is, we don't want you to own computers. We want you to use cloud-based services and pay those monthly fees. So imagine getting a game. You know how many people have been burned because they've purchased movies in the cloud, purchased the movie, let the movie sit there, and now the movies that they're supposed to own are gone. And that's happened more than once. And I'm like, wow. And you wonder why so many people are cord cutting. And let me tell you something. They're pushing so hard, you're going to wind up seeing a lot of people start stream cutting. You're not keeping the shows that they like. You're constantly flipping what's going on. Everything is based on short-term memory. Everything is based on short-term memory. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, wow, wait a minute. That sounds like investing. Think about this. How many people do you know practice the GMB3, right? Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Who practices that on a daily basis? Who does that? And I'm like, not a lot of people. When you just listen in on how people are buying and selling their stocks, what are they doing? It's short-term memory. The wealthy don't have short-term memory. They deal in longer term. Short term means, oh, I'm going to take this dry powder and the market's going to crash. I know it's going to crash and I'm going to have loads of money. And these people are not going to have loads of money. And I'm going to go buy what they have. Or had. Yeah, that's how that works. That is literally how it works. And I'm just like, man. Like, what? So for me, you know how I tell you guys, dry powder, emergency fund, another pot of dry powder, smaller, right? For those quick hit type things, right? My emergency fund, never touch. It's like it doesn't exist. There has to be an emergency. Something that, yes, 911 is an option. It's an emergency. Not a rainy day fund. Not a rainy day fund. A true emergency. That's what that's for. That's how I'm looking at things. And I realize I don't even have a short-term memory when it comes to day trading. I'm using the history and the previous history and the projection of that company to even do my day trading. And most people don't do that. The bulk of the people out there, FOMO. It's FOMO. You ever watch a documentary on Joseph Kennedy and how he made his money in the stock market? You start to realize, wow, he was actually thinking. He was like, yeah, when it came to the shoe shine boy giving me stock tips, he was done. He was like, oh, I'm good off that. It's one of the ways he made his money. And I'm telling you, I'm just looking at things now and I'm sitting back and I'm saying to myself, people that are saying that it's not going to be a great time ahead, they're telling the truth. Do I think the whole year will be a downturn year? No, I don't think it'll be a downturn year. But having it be a tumultuous year might be underplaying it a bit. I think things are going to hit us sideways in ways that we might not be thinking. So I spend a lot of time right now contemplating risk management. I spend a lot of time contemplating risk management. How fast can I move? You know how I keep telling you guys, know your entries, know your exits. It's not just know your entries, know your exits. Okay? From a numbers perspective. It's know your entries, know your exits on how fast or how slow you can, how long it takes to execute a transaction. So if you know that you're going to need money, you know that you've got to keep a certain amount of value that's, closer to being liquid, right? You know that. If you didn't, that would be my suggestion to my kids. Hey, you got to have some cash. And I don't mean cash in a bank. I mean, you got to have some cash. I was lucky enough that, what was it, 2000? I'm trying to remember when it was, 2001? It was either 2000 or 2001, and we had a blackout in New York. And I was riding my motorcycle from Queens, all the way up to Westchester County. And I was like, wow, I am so thirsty. Like dry mouth. I just couldn't. I had to stop off at a store. Luckily, I literally had an emergency $50 in small bills in my wallet, and a little compartment where I wouldn't see it all the time. It was there for emergencies, just like that. I was able to whip out a couple of bucks and be like, I need water. I was able to get water. So I teach my kids that Cash is king. Cash, actual cash. Having something of value, right, that you can use to go buy something. Power goes out. Gold ain't going to help you. I'm going to tell you that now. Gold is not going to help you because as soon as you whip out that gold, somebody's going to take it all from you. So gold's not going to be good in that kind of situation where you need to buy a bottle of water because you'll find yourself giving away a bar of gold because how are you going to chop it up? How are you going to chop it up? And how are you going to prove that it's gold? No electricity, no nothing. You need cash. Keep some cash in your wallet. Keep some cash in the house. Fireproof safe, preferably. And, like I said, this is me having a conversation with my kids. And then you can worry about, how close to liquid is your money in different places, things like that. And it's amazing when you actually need it. Right? And if you use your emergency money, remember to replace it. But right now I'm looking at the stock market and I'm saying to myself, when do I think all of this is going to calm down? Right now we're seeing precious metals hit, crazy highs. Highs that, I posted on Grow My Bag that, somebody was giving me, the business over me saying that, yeah, silver's going to hit 100. And at that moment, silver was at $94.21. And somebody had been giving me, poking me in the ribs. Oh, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. $94.21. Not that far away. And if you look at what the times are bringing, precious metals is not a bad thing to have your hands on. Crypto took it on the chin today. Past 24 hours, if you look at numbers over the past 7 days, not so great. Up a bit, and then, like I said, self-inflicted. How do you guard against that? Like, what are you guys doing to guard against that? You know what I mean? Just, what do you do? What do you do? What I tend to do is I tend to look at things on a global scale. Hutanik just mentioned, he didn't just mention, but he mentioned that, hey, Japan raised rates by 6 basis points. Across what time period, I don't know, but that's what he's saying. Because I don't know that they raised their basis, that raised that in a day. I don't think that's what happened. Last time I reported on it was 25 basis points or something like that. 25 points. So I'm kind of like, huh? The EU is on fire. Statements by the current regime have put the EU on fire. Gold did hit a new high, 48 and change. People are running. People are running. And you know what makes it worse for me is that companies are still having layoffs in the United States. Companies are still having layoffs. And they're not stopping at all to stop and contemplate, how are people going to pay for our stuff? I'm listening to the banking industry. But Brian Moynihan, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the financial industry and saying to myself, you're crying about $6 trillion leaving assets on just leaving the banking industry and going over to stablecoins. Okay. But with all of the jobs that you're laying off, how much money is going to leave your businesses with all those layoffs? I don't see them talking about that too much. People aren't going to have enough money to pay for things. And I hate to say it, if you've got dry powder, the next few months are going to be telling. The next few months might actually reveal opportunities. I was going to make a move on something and I was like, wait a minute. Let me not do that right now. They get a whole bunch of AI stuff. Walmart is implementing AI to ease purchase friction, make it easier for you to purchase. We all know Amazon's already doing stuff like that. And I sat there and I was like, man, imagine if you just don't have the money anymore. You lost your job. You've got to figure out how to make two ends meet. What happens? When big companies lay people off, they usually happen in nice sized cities, right? And then what happens to those cities? You start to realize, wow, those cities start to dwindle down as well. How much of an economic hit, we felt it during the pandemic. How much of an economic hit can these cities have? Not everybody has fully recovered. I'll say it like that. Stanley Dixon, have you invested in yourself today? That's the number one question. I'm trying not to, answer questions or respond until people answer that one question. So have you invested in yourself today? But I see that you do agree with me. Your conviction days. I don't put extra in when I see things like this. I pause. I keep my dollar cost averaging strategy in place. Other than that, I pause. Because I don't know if the dip is done yet. This might not be a dip. Hey, Paula. Thank you for letting us all know that you've invested in yourself. No, always is not an answer, young man. And always is not an answer. You got to say, I invested in myself. There's a reason why I say it like that. You know there's a reason why I say it like that. But yeah, dips happen. I start to analyze. My analyzation, engines kick in, and I analyze everything. Businesses we're thinking about buying or getting involved with, stocks, bonds, options, crypto, real estate, all of it. We start looking at everything. Because a massive change in the market, downside, upside, can cause, thank you very much for that, love you. There's a massive, when there's a massive hit to the market, positive or negative, it can change things on a dime. If it goes positive, whatever I'm negotiating, I'm going to have to work that out. If it's on the downside, well, I'm going to have to work that out too, but that's to my advantage, isn't it? Or it might be. Maybe the business that I'm looking at requires a positive market. And in a downturn market, because maybe it's not fully a luxury, but it's not something that's going to be on the grocery list, right? It's not a necessity. You start to think about it. I've seen firsthand in the economic industry to small businesses as I work in property management. Lots had to close shop due to so many in arrears. Yep, it hit hard in our revenue. Yeah. But see, at that moment, what am I thinking? This particular sector might be taking a hit. This particular business might be taking a hit. Is there anybody else that's going to be positive while these businesses are taking a hit? Meaning, were they prepared for a situation like this and might be able to ride out the storm? Is there an opportunity to consolidate within a given space? Because I might, instead of being able to buy one, I'll give you an idea. So there was a market downturn. You guys know I live off a golf course. And during that market downturn, somebody actually took out one of my windows. Floor to ceiling window. You could imagine it's pretty big. Costs a lot of money. Got a quote from one guy. And it was a decent quote. Wasn't a bad quote. Called another, because I try to do three to five quotes depending on what the issue is. I try to do 3 to 5 quotes. Another quote came in, well-known, company. A lot of people knew them. The number was like a third. I was like, what? So I was asking, like, why is it a third? Well, listen, we're trying to keep the lights on. We're struggling. I was like, okay, done. They came in. It was so cheap. I didn't have them replace one window. I had them replace all those windows in that section because it was so cheap. Yeah. I was like, bet, knock that out. But that's what I mean. One company is struggling, two companies are struggling, three companies are struggling. One company might survive. Is it a necessary service? And to me, there are too many things within construction that you actually need, right? You actually need these companies to be there. So is this a company or is this a business that I can get into, consolidate these smaller ones because they're all cheap now, consolidate all that business and create one mega sized company. So even the company that's surviving has now got me to deal with. And we're absolutely going to survive because it's a time purchase. My thought process changes is what my point is. So in a time like this, where we see all markets take a dive, we now have Europe talking about recession out loud. Out loud. You start to think differently. Eli, thanks for letting us know that you are investing in yourself today. That's what's up. So you start to think about that and you start to go, whoa, wait a minute. So what stocks should I be thinking about? I start to break down each and every single, investment stream that I've got going on. And you start to reevaluate. You might want to rejig your portfolio. Just saying. But knowing your portfolio, see how that ties into the GMB3? Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. You've got to know your portfolio. You've got to know where your value is. What kind of hit can your value take? When you're looking at the market right now, look at the market right now. Who's taking a hit? Is that hit going to be sustained? Can that hit be absorbed? What can it do? All the markets went down today. Some companies had good news. They didn't feel the hit of the market yet. Will they? Most likely. Right? So you start thinking about that. You start looking at the crypto projects that are out there. Everybody's taken a hit over the past few days. What kind of, belief do you have in some of these projects? I know I'm asking not so nice questions. I'm sorry. Not sorry. I'm not. I'm a prick. What's the next bit? Bitcoin hit 87,800 and change. You heard me right. 87,8 and change. Yep. What would become of Ripple if the EU dumps $2 trillion in US treasuries? I don't think that's a question for Ripple. I think Ripple would be fine. What's Ripple's job? The movement of value. Ripple's not going to take a hit. Ripple's not hurting. I don't think they're going to hurt. They're in the business of moving value. So the rails that they're on, XRPL, are needed by others to maneuver value. So whether that's RLUSD, XRP, whatever, you need those rails. Secure, fast, dependable. When was the last time you heard about, Ripple going down? When was the last time? Yeah. Who does Ripple have deals with right now? Go on. And you start to say to yourself, wow, there's a real opportunity here. So for the long haul, am I holding on to my bag of XRP? Duh. But do I have a prioritized list of what I would be dumping first? Yup. If I wake up in the middle of the night and I see the market headed toward 85, I'm out. Not of everything, but of a lot of things. I have a prioritized list. I have a timing for that list. I'll be out. Because not all projects, not all coins, tokens are made the same, right? So some I think are going to weather the storm. Some I think are just going to drop. Can they come back? Sure. Have they proven they can come back? Yup. But I would dump big. I mean, is it me or am I looking at Solana at number 8? I mean, at number 7. Yeah. So would I drop Solana like a hot rock? I would drop Solana like a hot rock. Do I think Solana is going to wind up in the teens? Not sure yet. But I know at this price, you're a far cry from the 140 and 148 and change that it was at. And then you start to realize, wow, there could be opportunities, right? Add Asia with another 2 trillion in U.S. Treasury, same answer. You're asking hypotheticals that don't even make sense, bro. Ask things that actually make sense. Nobody wants to bring the U.S. down so hard because that would mean that whatever they're holding is worth nothing. My mother used to tell me, because I'd be going to the store and I'd go get something and she'd ask me to go pick something up. I'll give it to you when you get back home. Cool. And she goes, as long as I owe you, you'll never go broke. If U.S. debt goes to 0 because everybody dumps, everybody has a problem. $38 trillion, 38 point blah, 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 blah trillion dollars. Go ahead and make the dollar worthless. Go ahead. What are you going to do? Nobody wants that. Nobody can handle the globe can't handle that. You don't want anything going to 0. That's bad in a massive way. Here's the other part. You don't want a nation that's made up of consumption to not be able to consume or to be unable to consume. So all these hypothetical questions where, well, here's a bomb and here's a bomb and here's a bomb and here's a bomb. Stop asking simple questions like that. Ask more thoughtful questions. Look further down the road. Not trying to be mean. I'm being serious. Look further down the road. If the U.S. takes a hit economically, who else takes a hit? Frickin' everybody. Everybody. Let's get rid of the U.S. dollar. No, we just don't want it to be the world's money, right? We don't want it to be the global fiat. Great. Okay. Handle that carefully. Because if you all dump, who's buying? Who's buying? You serious? Are you serious? Who's buying it all? Stablecoins aren't. Tether might be one of the smartest companies out there because they were like, yeah, we'll create a new stablecoin for your little law. And we'll do that. Why do you think they're diversifying? Why do you think before Warren Buffett retired, why do you think he was just amassing just a ridiculous amount of liquidity? Why do you think he was doing that? People aren't calculating properly. Warren Buffett doesn't look at tomorrow, next week. He's looking years down the road. A healthy, wealthy person, a smart, wealthy person is looking years down the road. Little bumps, little things like that. They're not worried about the little bumps. They're worried about the policies that can create a series of little bumps. They're worried about the policies that can create big bumps or craters. They worry about stuff like that over a span of longer periods of time. China takes that to the next level. They think, sometimes they think centuries. Really depends on what you're talking about. So let me flood the market with steel. Let me flood the market with AI. Let me flood the market with cars. They're flooding the market with cars and AI right now. Right now. Pay attention. There's a lot going on. There's a lot. There's more than just a little bit. So when I look at all the news today and I listen to, Vanguard increased its Metaplanet stake by 11%. Not a bad move. Take strategy out of the equation. Metaplanet is truly right now might be the only treasury that's actually doing well. That started way back in the day. I'm not going to put BitMine immersion in that mix, right? But you start to realize, you start looking at everybody else and you start to go, oops, not brilliant. Not brilliant. Like, huh? You just start to look at things. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent urged European nations not to retaliate against Trump's Greenland-related tariffs as the EU considered an 81 billion euro, in potential retaliatory measures. $81 billion. And some people are sitting there going, we owe trillions. What's 81 billion going to do? Japan dropped $50 billion and rocked the markets. 50. 81 can rock the markets because it's not just one country. It's a whole region of countries. That would be huge. That's not a little thing. And you have China trying to be nice to everybody. Oh, we can do this, we can do that, da 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 da. Meanwhile, like I said, they're flooding the market right now. They're flooding the market right now with a couple of things. Danish pension fund, academic pension. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. Probably not. Plans to liquidate its remaining U.S. Treasury holdings by the end of this year, citing fiscal instability and risks linked to Trump-era policies. Yeah, it's Danish. Denmark. Yeah, you can see that coming. It's a matter of time. So they're about to dump. What other countries are dumping? Never kick a dog when it's down. Yeah, nah. They're gonna be people right here, right now, that are gonna want to kick this dog while it's down. Absolutely. Absolutely, no doubt. Pay attention. I'm throwing out pieces of news to you guys, and it's like, yeah, nothing's gonna matter as much as what's going on with the whole tariff thing. Not that it's not important, that those bits of news aren't important. If you go look at the site, they're probably like 40-something articles for today. Somewhere between 35 and 40-something. I lost count. All of it seems like important stuff for us to know. But all eyes on Davos. UBS CEO Sergio Ermotti warned of prolonged market volatility due to trade tensions, geopolitical conflicts, and unresolved issues like U.S. policies on Greenland and the Ukraine war. Let's not forget the conflict, the pseudo-conflict or indirect conflict. That's the best way to say it. The indirect conflict between Saudi Arabia and the UAE in Yemen. Yeah. They were once on the same side and now they're not. There's turmoil around the world. None of that is good. Being that the United States owes so much money, How are we giving money to Israel and other countries? How is that happening? How are we selling oil from that we took from another country and putting that money, not giving it to the treasury, but putting it into an offshore account, which is illegal, by the way? Yeah, I'm going to keep harping on that because it's $500 million. That $500 million could help a lot of people. For example, that $500 million could go toward FEMA. The United States is expecting a massive storm. Massive. That $500 million could have gone to FEMA so that they can be thinking ahead and ready to rock and roll. Right? But FEMA has not been able to respond all too well. Why is that money, why is that $500 million being kept offshore? Why? It's illegal. Why is that happening? We need the money. We clearly need the money. Just saying. We give away a lot of money and we don't have the money to give away. So worried about Argentina. What about our farmers? Have you seen beef prices lately? Yep. They've been going up. I know a lot of people have been eating a hell of a lot more chicken than steak. Think I'm kidding? I'm not. So when I look at all the news tonight, this one is going to piss off a lot of people. Trump family crypto ventures, including World Liberty Financial, remained active with $3.8 billion in founder tokens amid $1.4 billion in crypto profits and a $6.8 billion net worth. For all those, before you open up your mouth and come at me, I want you to go look up how long they've been in the crypto game. And then recall a value of $6.8 billion. 1 point something billion dollars in profit. 1.4. Haven't been in the crypto game that long. Yeah. Follow the money. Follow the money. One of my friends reached out to me today and he was like, have you been following Novo Nordisk? No, why should I? I love Carl. We've known each other since high school. We've been homies since high school. And in the nicest way possible, he literally said to me, you can't, I mean, in the night, not quite in these words, but the message was received. Like, dude, I know we went to the same high school. I know you are not that stupid. I choked on that for a minute, ate that crow, a little salt, a little pepper, makes it go down easier. But yeah, you start thinking about, holy moly, I'm thinking differently. What kind of moves is he making, or his family or friends? What kind of moves are they making? And I'm paying attention to those moves. This regime is forcing people to reevaluate everything. I know a lot of people that were backing this regime that are literally sitting there saying to themselves, I'm going to have to rethink this. They're starting to realize I voted for this one reason and wasn't thinking about all this other stuff that comes along with it. Telling you, there's a lot of stuff that we have to unpack. A lot. Something else I'm going to tell you. As you're doing your own research, I want you to think about this. You must have a discerning eye when it comes to fake news. What do I tell you guys all the time? Me and the team, we go out there and we try to find corroborating information. Not this story that got its news from this story, got its news from this story, no, not that. I mean, this story, and then somebody else independently had a story. That's corroborating information. We're looking for that. Software out there right now, AI out there right now is so good, you're not going to be able to tell. People are like, oh, you could always tell it's AI. I just want to backslap people that say that. You could always tell it's AI. No, you cannot. No, you cannot. Images, there are engines out there right now, even for audio, that will put a watermark on the audio in the image so that, they can be detected as AI. There are other packages that don't. Want to get around it? There are ways to get around this stuff. There are absolutely ways to get around this stuff. Gotta pay attention. Don't just look at the headline and formulate an opinion. Don't do that. Pay attention to things. And right now, you want to know what I'm paying attention to? I'm paying attention to the 4 steps. I described the 4 steps to one of my friends today. And I was like, we're thinking about doing something. We're doing something. We did something. And now here's the update on the impact from what we did. 4 steps. I'm looking for those things. So when I see news, I'm kind of like, oh, so I must have missed when you said, and I go back and I go look at that. What was going on at that time? What's going on at this time? Who are they trying to hurt? Who are their competitors? All that stuff. I'm looking at all that. I am looking at all of that. We got good news because Delaware Life Insurance introduced a Bitcoin-linked annuity with BlackRock offering U.S. stock exposure with managed Bitcoin risk following regulatory moves to expand crypto in 401k plans. That's really, really good news, isn't it? You know how I talk to you guys about the rhythm of coins? That's really, really good news. Was not enough to stave off the humbling impact from tariffs. So that news doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now you understand why I'm thinking about these things. Something else that I'm looking at that people probably are not paying attention to. A Massachusetts court banned Kalshi from offering sports prediction markets. Also, Polymarket is about to get kicked out of, I think, Turkey, Spain, and Portugal. Political betting. So can they revisit if they get rid of political betting? Maybe. But I'm looking at that because I'm starting to see the armor start to rust for prediction markets. Now that news is going to fall under the radar. Nobody's going to pay attention to it most likely. But in a few months, when I think that they're not going to be doing so greatly, people are going to be like, what happened? And I'm going to be sitting there and I'm going to go, oh, they thought it was meme time. Right? It's a really hot topic, made a lot of money off of it, big, until it wasn't. People really are starting to come out the woodwork talking about the over gamification, not even the over gamification, the gamification of investing. It's a problem. It's a massive problem. What crypto wallet company is currently dealing with a third-party breach? MetaMask, Soulflare, Lace, or other? 9 people voted. It's Ledger, a hardware wallet. One of their vendors had a breach. I've been telling you guys for a long time. Pay attention to all those little things. Hutanik, I disagree with you. It's not game theory at this point. It's not. Even with that statement, you're buying into the gamification of things. Think about it. Not trying to be mean, but think about it. Oh, well, it is game theory at this point. You're shrugging it off. You're not paying any mind to it. It's not game theory. Throughout this whole conversation tonight, I've given you a few examples of how it's not a game to these small businesses that have to worry about, are we going to be able to keep the lights on? I gave you a scenario where you might be able to get into an industry that you believe is going to do well after all this tumultuousness, but it might be an opportunity to buy and consolidate, and on the other side of it all, come out with a bigger, stronger company that you then might be able to sell for a lot more money. That's what I described to you. That doesn't sound like a game, does it? It sounds like doing your own research, knowing your entries and exits, and absolutely investing deliberately, doesn't it? That's not just like a little statement that I make. That's literally how I do things. I've been doing it for years, since I was a kid. That's how I approach things. That statement that you made makes me think that there are a lot of, and it's not just you, right? It's a lot of people out there are becoming a little bit numb to the game aspect of things. And they might not be looking at things the way they should be looking at things. They're not necessarily weighing things the way they should be weighing things. That's a bad situation to be in. Those are people that are susceptible to a misleading headline. Because in their head, they've already made a calculation and they see that headline and go, yeah, probably. And they move on. They didn't dig deep into the article to get the rest of the information. They just made a move and kept it like that. No, you're still shrugging it off. I say that because we have a global reset. You're still shrugging it off. Trying to put a label on it all. Not everything equates to a reset. To me, this is not a reset. I can tell you right now, to me, this is absolutely not a reset. Because a reset takes you back to the way it was. Does this look like things are going to go back to the way they were? No, not to me. So it's not a reset. So it's going to take thought to actually think about, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Countries right now are saying to themselves, the United States elected this guy twice. Not once, twice. No, the country can no longer say, wasn't me. I mean, I can. But as a country, we're allowing this to happen. As a country, we voted for this. As a country, we voted for this. So that means that the whole world is thinking and rethinking what the world is. You're going back to prior to 1913 reset. No, dude, what are you talking about? You're spewing nonsense right now. I can honestly say you're spewing nonsense right now. This is not in any sort of way a reset. It's a reconfiguration. Think about it. I'm mad at you because I know I've heard you say it. It's not a reset. You're using the word reset, but that's not what you mean. Where's patient one? Nothing's going backwards. Last time I checked in 1913, there was no crypto. Last time I checked, in 1913, they didn't have the communications that we have now. They didn't have a whole bunch of stuff that we have now. So how could that be a reset back to 1913? Oh, I'm only talking about the financial markets. Are you serious? You can't be. And if you are, you don't want to have that conversation with me. This is not a reset. Stop calling it a reset. It's nowhere near a reset. You're absolutely wrong. Nothing that's going on right now has ever been done in the past. Fiat, global fiat going up, another fiat replacing it, another fiat replacing it. Yes. But the problem is right now, what fiat can you point to that can replace the dollar? Some people are going to sit there and go, the renminbi. Are you kidding me? Because China has such a strong economy. There's a strong freaking chance, and Ray Dalio has said it, there's a strong freaking chance that fiat could just be dropped by the wayside. I don't even think gold is an option. I don't think gold is an option. I don't have the answer, but I know that's not it. I'm telling you now, it won't. Bet you a bottle of wine, it won't. It absolutely will. I'll have the wine. You'll have some water. It won't. It will not. Anyway, I'm going to go relax. There's a lot of stuff to think about. I know I didn't get to all the news that I have. Go to the website. Go look at all the articles today. Go look at all the articles from yesterday. Go look at all the articles from the past week, past month, past 4 years. Start to tell you stories. It'll start to help you out. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. Hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, smash the likes. Go to growmybag.tv. Become a member. Why? Because membership has its benefits. Membership has its benefits. Really and true. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And absolutely thank you for your trust. I fight for that every day. I don't know everything. I'm looking for you guys to help us all fill in the gaps. I'll know something. You'll know something. She'll know something. We'll all know something. We'll share it and we'll all do better. Verify what you read. Don't just guess. Don't just point the finger at something and try to slap a label on it. That will fail you. It's my honest opinion. Anyway, everybody, have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. for the daily. Eastern Standard Time, by the way. Have a good one. Bye-bye.